What's up, everybody? Axe Wizard here, back with an update about Cairn 2nd Edition. So a while ago I made a video when the playtest was announced, and it's gotten some work. I've been on the Cairn Discord quite a bit, not really interacting much, just mostly lurking. I started a Cairn 2nd Edition campaign, but just lately because of the scheduling and like plans conflicting, and one weekend one of us might be sick, the next weekend the other one might be sick, and we don't want to like spread the plague or whatever, so it's just we haven't really gotten a chance to reconvene to play some more Cairn. And that's been kind of a bummer. It's been kind of fun, but it seems like lots of people are enjoying 2nd Edition so far. They love the changes, so let's just recap like what 2nd Edition is. So first of all, 2nd Edition is going to be fully backwards compatible with 1st Edition. So it's not like the rules are drastically changing. Rules so far have been clarified quite a bit, particularly scars. If you're still confused about scars, I do have a video that hopefully clarifies it, but they're still doing work on that. Yochai and team are still just debating about the best wording for it, but I think once they get this complete product, like they have the player's guide and then they also have the Warden's guide complete with examples of play and stuff like that, I think there's going to be no confusion. So 2nd Edition so far has been a huge plus. For me, the biggest, my favorite thing about 2nd Edition so far has been the expanded backgrounds and then the introduction of the bonds and omens system. So those have been my two big things that I really enjoy with the 2nd Edition so far. They've introduced procedures, which are pretty cool things. So if we go to the table of contents here, this is the most recent playtest booklet. So this is version 1.3, October 2023. I'm recording this on the 4th of October. And so character creation, they expanded character creation. There's lots of cool backgrounds. I've been kind of going through the backgrounds in my spare time, just like brainstorming some ideas about how I would roleplay this character. I might make some videos about those. I don't necessarily know if that would be good content or not. If you want to hear me ramble about backgrounds, by all means let me know in the comments, but I almost don't want to make videos on them right now because the bare bones are there, and I don't know how much more they're going to be expanded. I know there's going to be like some artwork and stuff that's going to be added with the final product, but I don't know how much of this is all going to change. So again, since this is a playtest, I treat it as though everything is subject to change. Not that it necessarily will, but because it might. So in its current state, as of version 1.3 of the 2nd Edition playtest in October of 2023, this is what we've got. We've got a few backgrounds here. So this is the player's guide. There's going to be a Warden's guide that we haven't seen yet. I'm very excited to get my hands on that in some format. Eventually, when 2nd Edition is fully done and there's going to be physical copies, you bet your damn ass I'm getting one of those. I'm going to buy one of those. Just for now, this is what we've got. It's just the player's guide. So what have they done? They've, since my last video where I kind of went over, introduced it when it first came out, they've done lots of clarifications and like fixing typos and things like that, working on clarifying rules. I think they've done some slight formatting changes with it. They might have done some work on the procedures, and they've also added this new downtime procedure, which is something that is pretty interesting. For me personally, the procedures, they feel a lot more rules heavy than the rest of the system, to be honest. So it's like the core Cairn system. I think the basic rules of that is, I think in the original booklet, it takes up maybe 6 to 8 pages. And then you've got like the procedure rules that are all, you know, if just memorizing those procedures, you've got procedures 69 to 82. That's quite a few pages of rules just for procedures. Now, the nice thing about procedures is that they are completely optional. They're modular. You can choose to use them or you can choose to ignore them. For me, I take the core of the procedures and just make it less rules heavy and just kind of wing it. So for example, like when I'm doing traveling or wilderness exploration, I'll use their weather tables and maybe I'll roll for like encounters and stuff like that just to see what happens. And my players appreciate it because they get to roll dice more. I know that some players, one of the criticisms they had about Cairn was that you don't get to roll as many dice. Well, I think in Cairn 2nd Edition you're going to be rolling more dice, which is, you know, fun. Rolling dice is fun. But for me, I I don't know what it is, but I've read through the procedures and I can't make them click in my head. That seems to be the exclusion. Like everyone else that I've seen interacting on the Discord, for the most part, it seems pretty clear to them. They're having fun. It's a hit with a lot of people. So I know that I'm not the norm when it comes to procedures. So I don't want this video to come off like I'm bashing procedures. I love that they are there. I'm going to take the bits and pieces that I want from them for my games. At the end of the day, second edition is just giving you more stuff to play with, and it's expanding what's already there. And so far, it's been nothing but a huge positive since I've been playing second edition. Another thing I'm super excited about is the implied setting of Vault. Really looking forward to getting more details on that. I assume a lot of that stuff is going to be in the Warden's Guide. I'm very eager to get my hands on the Warden's Guide. So what else is new? Well, there's two big things that I think are new. There's character sheets. So this is the ordinary, like, you know, portrait or half-page character sheet. And this just looks stylish. Like, I like the look of it. You've got a place where you can make your own character portrait, character name. You got a specific spot for your background and also for your traits, which I think is really, really nice, because in first edition, you just had your notes section. And in your notes section, you had, you know, whatever your background was, you have your character traits, and then you also have, you know, any other notes that you might want to put in there. Well, with second edition, there's you know, backgrounds are much more expanded. Traits haven't really changed much, but to be honest, I don't think they needed to be. They were really fun and they were accessible just right out of the gate. So I think that was really cool. So we have background, we have traits, and also down here we have I think a cleaner inventory, much more readable. While I did love the old backpack art, I know that for my oldest, he would just kind of like get lost on his character page trying to look at his inventory because there was just so much beautiful clutter. But with the inventory, it's much more concise. I really like this. It's just you can clearly see what you've got and whether or not this inventory slot is taken up by fatigue or not. That's awesome. Also, with second edition, one of the big changes is that the currency, there's no longer copper, silver, and gold pieces. There's just gold. And to be honest, from my understanding, most people, when they were playing Cairn anyway, just use gold. So the fact that they're getting away with that micromanagement of converting currency and stuff like that, that's typically a drag. You know, even video games automate that stuff. I don't think we're missing anything by not having copper and silver pieces. So we just have a spot for gold. A really easy place to find it. Awesome. Also, petty items. This is something that I didn't really pick up on when I was first going through the second edition, especially when we were doing character creation for my current group. The petty means that they don't take up any inventory space. So it's got a spot for your petty items, because when you're doing your backgrounds, chances are you're probably going to get a petty item or two, whether it's a letter from a relative or, you know, this cool crystal or something. You're probably going to get one from when you do bonds. So you got bonds. Bonds are really cool things that you do for each character during character creation. And then an omen is something that the youngest character rolls and then you pick a table, and this kind of seems to me to just give you a broad omen. And this is more, for me, this is more meant for the Warden than the players, but it's nice to have a spot on the character sheet so they can keep track of that. It's got multiple lines. In the rules currently, you only roll one omen, but you might want to write out what that omen is. So I appreciate that we have multiple lines here to do that. For my players, for ease of use, I just had them write down like what page number the omen was, and if they had questions about it, I can just pull it up on my phone. Since I didn't print out the entire PDF, I just had the PDF on my phone. So that's how I was making it work. But once this is like fully done and we're going to have the player guide and the Warden guide, they'll be able to look up their own omen and whatnot to see what that means. The stats, strength, dexterity, and willpower. I like the layout here. Again, strength, dexterity, willpower, perfect. You got a general notes section, which you can put whatever else you want. That's not background, traits, inventory, bonds, petty items, or omens. So that's awesome. You've got your hit points right here. And then you've also got your armor and whether or not you're deprived. One small nit that I have about this is that I almost want the armor to be above the hit points, or not hit points, above your hit protection. Because when you're calculating the damage that you're going to take, you first subtract any armor you have from the damage. So if I have 1 armor and I'm taking 5 damage, I first subtract that 1 armor from the damage, so I have 4 left over. So, like, just logically to me, it makes sense that the armor would be above the hit protection so that you could look at that. But I mean, I guess by that logic, you could just stack everything on one side. So you can have armor, hit protection, and then your stats to see if you can just follow that down. But I think the way it's laid out right now, again, there's not many things with Cairn. It's not like you have to keep track of a bunch of skills or tons of different spells and whatnot. So I'm perfectly happy with the way they have this character sheet right now. This is fantastic. So this is the portrait version. So let's look at the landscape version. And I think that this is going to be the one that I'm going to use. This is fantastic. I love it. It's got really great art. I love the new Cairn logo on here. I'm probably way more impressed with that than I should be. I mean, it's the same font, but they just added like a little torch for the eye. But I think it adds so much. They've got the name in the background right there. You've got a little spot for portrait. Again, you've got your core stats. They also have hit protection right here. So that's cool. You've got whether or not you are deprived. You've got your armor value. And you've got a list of petty items. So on this sheet here, you've got a few extra slots for petty items. I think on the other one, you've only got 4. So this one you've got about, what, 7? You got your inventory here. Again, this is nice and not cluttered. It's very clear what you've got. You can see whether or not you have fatigue or not. I think that's very great. You've got your traits listed over here. You've got bonds and omens. And again, with omens, even though you only roll 1, it's got multiple lines, so you can write it all out. I really appreciate that. And then a section for notes. And you've got quite a bit of room for notes on here. Overall, I like this layout a lot better. And it just looks beautiful. I love the black and white line art here. Like, this just looks amazing. So I'm super hyped about that. So let's talk about the little update they put out at the end of September, just a few days ago. So an update on the Cairn 2nd Edition playtest, Kickstarter updates, and more. I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. I'm going to put a link to this in the description if you want to read through it yourself. Some things that popped out to me was that the Kickstarter is going to be delayed, which makes perfect sense. They're going to delay it until March of 2024. I'm thankful because that gives me time to save up a little bit of money so I can back it, because right now I'm kind of tapped. And it makes sense because they're still working on Cairn 2nd Edition anyway, so no worries. With the Kickstarter, what that's going to be is that it's going to be the Kickstarter for the box set, which is something I'm very looking forward to getting my hands on, because I have the Pathfinder beginner box and I absolutely love that. Pathfinder is not the system for me, but I love what they did with that product and how they introduced it, and I could tell that it was made with love and care, and I'm excited to see what they come up with for Cairn. So with the basic box, the basic contents of the box have not changed, but he's going to provide some more details. So it's going to have the player's guide, staple bound if possible. It's going to have the Warden's guide, which it says in parentheses is a hardcover chonky boy. That excites me because that means I get a lot of stuff to sink my teeth into as a Warden. It's going to have some tear-off character sheets, which is cool. It's going to have a starting adventure, and I'm very curious to see what the starting adventure is, because I think that the way that I run my games is probably very different than most people run Cairn. So I'm excited to see what the starting adventure is, and I know that my players are going to love it. It's going to have some optional extra copies of the player's guide printed at cost, which makes sense. So I assume when you go to order this bundle or this box set, you'll have the option to buy more copies of the player's guide. So and the fact that it's going to be printed at cost is also a pretty huge benefit. If you're not sure what that means, at cost is typically like what a business has to pay to make it happen. So if I want to make this sweet product, right, make a sweet adventure, right, and I wanted to publish it out there, it might cost me, like, I'm just going to throw easy numbers out there, it might cost me $3 to actually make it a reality, and then I might sell it for $5, so that way I can make a little bit of profit on it. So selling it at cost would mean that I would be selling it for $3, so I would make no extra money off of it. It means that if you wanted to get multiple players guide when you buy the box set, if you have multiple players who are looking forward to it, you can pick up a few extra copies pretty cheap. So big win there, I think. And then they're looking at some stretch goals that we might cram in at no extra cost. So they're looking at maybe doing a GM screen by the artist Bruno Prosaico. If I pronounced that wrong, I do apologize. I am terrible with names. No disrespect intended. There's going to be an adventure anthology. So by Brad Kerr, Amanda P., Zedek Siu, and more. So I'm curious about the adventure anthology. I wonder if that's just like pre-existing adventures that might be bundled in and included with it, because again, second edition is going to be fully backwards compatible with first edition, or if this is brand new content that's made specifically for second edition. I have no idea. Online setting generator could be cool. I've been thinking about making some online tools myself, but I'm just thinking about it. I got a few ideas for what I can make, but nothing that I want to really sink my teeth into yet and dedicate time to making. But if you have ideas for tools that I can code that would help with Cairn, let me know. I would be curious to hear your feedback about that, because the last thing I want to do is spend, many hours coding some solution that doesn't help anybody. That would be kind of lame. But if you have some cool ideas for auxiliary apps or like solutions or something like that that can be useful for Cairn, let me know, because my job was I was a full stack web developer, but now I'm a computer programmer analyst. That's my new position. So I do programming for a living, and I've got devlogs on here where I'm making my little crappy video game. So yeah, let me know. I probably won't be able to get into it anytime soon, because since I have a new job, I'm getting up to speed on all the new stuff. But I assume at some point I'm gonna have some concrete spare time I can actually commit to doing some projects. Like, I've kind of sidelined my video game right now because I kind of work on it in very small chunks, but I'm not really at a point where I can set aside time to be like undisturbed for 4 hours to get in some quality work on it. So we'll see what happens. Artsy Crafts tokens could be cool. Really? Maybe. And localization for as many languages as they can, which I think is fantastic. The more people who can play Cairn, the better. They'll spread the joy of Cairn. And a few more updates. He's hired Amanda Lee Frank. Been hired to do some interior art and a bestiary for the Warden's Guide. So that's fantastic. Hiring an artist to bring more life to this project. That's cool. The online character generator Keeper is nearing beta. So it sounds like they already have a web tool in the works. So yeah, I'm curious to see, I know that you could do a character generator just directly on the Cairn site. You can just generate a random character, which is kind of fun just to get up and going. But it'd be cool to see how they're going to do that with second edition, because there's so many more options with character creation in second edition. So it sounds like the art for the backgrounds is expected in early November. I like that they're giving a loose tentative timeline, because I would rather have the artists take the time they need to make sure that they get the art in a spot where they're happy with, than feel rushed and put out something that they're not happy with. I know as an artist myself, sometimes creative waves kind of come and go. I haven't made like a music in a while, because I keep picking up my guitar. It's right here, but I haven't recorded anything because I'm not feeling it, and like nothing I'm writing is hitting that spot. So sometimes creative waves comes and go. So I really hope that even if early November comes and goes and it's still not art here, and we still don't have art, I'm perfectly fine with that. I would rather them take the time they need to get it right, and to where both the artist and the team is happy with it. And then writing for the Warden's Guide is in full swing, so that's awesome. I am, again, so eager to get my hands on the Warden's Guide. And then it just covers the changes. I talked about most of it. There's downtime procedures. I'm not going to cover the procedures here, because I feel like it would just be me just reading the thing to you. Click the link, check it out if you want. It's in the playtest. You can just go to the PDF here. You can just go down to the very bottom. page 80. That's where the downtime procedures are. I took a pretty cursory glance through it. Seems like there's some useful stuff in there. I think it's gonna need some, again, this is just me. For some reason, when it comes to procedures, I read the words make sense, but I'm just not absorbing them for whatever reason. So I'm not gonna be the guy to explain procedures. And then they also have a thing here about feedback. So they're still interested in receiving the following types of feedback: obvious typos, rules clarifications, and play reports. So additionally, we asking that the feedback is only submitted in one of two ways. So you can fill out this feedback form, or as a post in the Cairn Discord's 2E feedback forum. So in the Cairn Discord, there'll be a channel that says 2E feedback, and there'll be a bunch of threads. So I recommend just looking through the threads to see what's already there. If there's a thread for a topic that already that relates to what you want to bring up, then you can just post inside that thread. But if you see something that hasn't been brought up before, then by all means, don't feel bashful to make a new thread. Yochai and team are quick to respond, and a lot of other people in the community are usually chipping in their 2 cents about it. And there's lots of pretty cool discussions that happen in there, and it's pretty cool. So. And then he also has a note about Beyond the Pale, which is a horror OSR adventure inspired by Jewish folklore and mysticism. So it sounds like that does have a Kickstarter project page. It's going to be published by Lost Pages. And so, cool. And they also have a newsletter that you can sign up for. But that's it. I wanted to give a quick update because it's been... Yeah, so second edition, the playtest was announced back in July, I believe. So it's been a few months. So it's kind of cool to see progress made on it. Again, the few sessions I've gotten to play with it have been a huge hit with my players. The unanimous feeling is that it's an upgrade from first edition. It keeps everything that we loved about first edition and just makes it better. And again, the procedures are fantastic. If you're into the more rulesy side of it, it gives you a lot of definition for the more hand-wavy kind of sides of exploring and traveling and delving into dungeons and what to do on downtime. And so it at the very least, if you just read through those, it'll give you like some guidelines or some ideas that you can use in your games. And if you're just not really sure, or you're kind of hesitant to just kind of go things on your own, it gives you concrete rules step by step that you can follow. I just recommend getting familiar with those before you try playing a game. Otherwise, this is one of those things where it's not going to feel great because you'll be stuck in there kind of reading through the rules while your players are waiting for you to figure it out. So, yeah, take some time to familiarize yourself with the procedures. Even though I don't intend to use them as written so far, that may change as I read through it more, and maybe I just might click in my head and I might just get past that block where I'm just reading words but not absorbing it. I'll probably use them in the future, who knows, but regardless, I'm still glad that they are included in second edition. I think they are a huge win, and I like the fact that they specify that they are optional. So they have their core rules, which is largely unchanged from first edition. It still has all the core rules, just with things clarified. And then they have the optional procedures, which can add more structure and depth to your games if you need it. So, yeah, big win. I like the character sheets. I love the landscape one. This is going to be the one that I'm going to use. But I've got nothing but positive things to say about Cairn and second edition playtest so far. So if you haven't already, check it out, give it a shot, and yeah, let me know what content you want to see from me, because now that I'm starting to get a little bit more time. You'll probably notice I haven't been dropping many videos lately, but I'm starting to get a little bit more time, and I want to start dedicating to and making some more content. I might make some more D&D 5th edition content. I played some of that with a few friends on Discord lately. That was pretty fun, pretty cool experience. And then of course I've been playing I sunk a lot of hours in Baldur's Gate 3 pretty obsessively, so that ate up any spare time that I had. But let me know what other content you want to see. What questions do you have about Cairn? What questions do you have for me? let me know. I'm always reading comments several times a day, and let me know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in whatever video I make next.